Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight here in Austin, joined with Anthony Gucciardi here in the studio. We have Dr. Group at his lab, and he's going to take us around and show us a little bit of what's there. We've been seeing pictures of the crystals. They've got a very good source of iodine taken from 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface. Why? Because they want to make sure that it's not contaminated with radiation from Fukushima. Many sources of iodine use seawater, or they're taken from a shallow area where it could be contaminated. So they get it from very deep below the surface. They test it with for radiation presence, and we've just been talking to him about solutions to the toxins and the EMF that you come across in your life. I mean, he's talking about how those things affect you negatively. And Dr. Group, what can you tell us about the lab there, about the process?
And let's just be clear, this isn't just about iodine. The reason this lab is so key, and the reason why Dr. Group is so key, is because as they go around prescribing people antidepressant drugs, they're also shutting down natural manufacturers that have super high quality grade manufacturing techniques.
Yes.
Dr. Group's lab is literally a jewel of the natural health industry. It is the best. It is the highest state of the art. We should be thankful it exists, and we should fight for it. So anyway, thank you, Dr. Group.
Well, thanks. Yeah, this is behind-the-scenes footage, and this is very rare because most manufacturing facilities will not let you back behind closed doors. Because we're so transparent and because we want to show people, you know, the whole processing, we want to show how effective it is. This footage is made available exclusively to the InfoWars Life team and InfoWars customers. So right here, what you're going to see is you're going to see the iodine production room. As you can see, we use all glass vessels. You'll see a vessel mixing the actual iodine, and this is very rare. You know, these vessels are extremely expensive. They're made of borosilicate glass. I'm going to tell you from touring hundreds of manufacturing facilities in the past that nobody hardly ever uses full glass vessels. They use stainless steel, which can be contaminated, and especially when you're dealing with iodine is a oxidizing substance, you want to make sure that it's done in all glass. So it's a lot harder to do. Everything here is made by hand. I'm going to take you over to the quarantine room here, which is where all the ingredients come in. You know, this is very important because they all have to be tested. They all have to be approved. They have to be tested for microbes and make sure they're clean. It's what we ordered before they're released from quarantine. And when they're released from quarantine, then they can start going into production. The next thing that I'll show you is the V-blending room, and this is how you actually mix the powders. The InfoWars Live team is going to be introducing some really high-tech product, encapsulated products here very shortly that we're working on. And this blender is how you actually blend effectively. If you have 8 or 9 ingredients in a product, you would need them equally mixed. And so this is how you do it the right way right here.
This looks like something from a futuristic movie from 2099 or something.
Yeah, it's really cool. After it gets blended, it goes on into encapsulation. Now, the encapsulation room, we have individuals in there that are doing it by hand on semi-automatic encapsulators. You know, this is what any capsule that you take, I mean, any capsule that you see or that you get from any vitamin store or anything like that, this is the process that it goes through if it's done in a CGMP certified or CGMP compliant facility.
And I think you're downplaying yourself. You use silica glass because you don't want to get metals to contaminate the actual everything you're producing. But specifically, a lot of the capsules come from China, and that's why they're toxic. You know, this is actually made in America, super high quality, CGMP certified, Dr. Group's laboratory.
Fascinating pictures there. We're going to be right back, and Alex Jones is going to be joining us in the next segment, so stay with us.
Dr. Edward Group. It took me 20 years of searching the globe to find the deposit of the highest purity iodine available. The new Survival Shield X2 is mined from 7,000 to 10,000 feet below the earth in pristine, environmentally clean conditions. The iodine crystals we use are extracted from an ancient 300 million plus year old deposit deep in the earth. It's the strongest nascent iodine on the market today. It delivers 650 micrograms per drop. Experience the new formula. Experience the ancient purity. Shield your family. Survival Shield X2, available now at InfoWarsLife.com.
X2 from InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
I don't know what it is. Ralph just won't pay any attention to me. When he comes home from work, all he ever does is play video games and go to sleep. It's like I don't even exist.
Oh, Betty, that's just awful.
Does this seem familiar? If the answer to this question is yes, then listen carefully. Toxic pesticides, GMO foods and additives, BPA plastics, contaminated water supplies. Many of these toxic additives are deliberately engineered to attack and weaken human masculinity. It's part of the eugenics population control movement. Look it up. If men are more interested in online gaming than they are in their wives, a serious population crisis is soon to follow. Energize the man in your life with Super Male Vitality from InfoWarsLife.com. It's designed to aid the body in ways that help invigorate your natural systems without artificial testosterone, completely free of GMOs, harmful additives, gluten, and is made right here in the USA. Get your Super Male Vitality right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
Hi folks, Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. It's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. I've got Anthony Gucciardi here with me in the studio. We've been talking to Dr. Group at his lab. He's been giving us kind of an audio tour, and a lot of that maybe doesn't translate as well on radio as it should. Pretty amazing equipment. I have this gigantic V-shaped thing. Kind of looked like a Tesla anti-gravity machine or something to me. I don't know.
I know, and what's amazing is what he's doing is he's basically going beyond organic quality standards. And like I said earlier, it's not just about the iodine. It's not just about the products. The fact is that there's virtually no other factory doing this to these standards. The purity of everything he's doing. And we should appreciate that, even if we're looking outside of the amazing nutraceuticals that he's producing, because the FDA absolutely hates the nutraceutical companies that really are doing the right thing. And in reality, that's why we also see a lot of these companies offshoring their work to China, where the manufacturing process is dirty and full of contaminants and stuff like that.
Do you think in China they really have a quarantine area where they bring new materials in until they make sure they're cleaned? Or do they do everything in glass? I mean, do they even use stainless steel? I mean,
yeah, one of the videos Group was showing has a containment area where every single thing he was bringing in, he was testing, not only for radiation and everything, but for other items as well. And there's actually a chain link fence around it, and it's locked with a deadbolt type lock. No one's even allowed to go in there. It's just to separate the super pure products from anything that's new and untested yet. And anything that's tested and it's below the standards, which are basically 000 across the board, it's discarded then or sent back.
Yeah. We've got Dr. Group on the line while he's still with us. Dr. Group, anything else you want to tell us about your laboratory there?
And recap on basically the health solutions and what we can do, as you were explaining, to reclaim our health and to, as you were saying, the water in our bodies needs to be cleansed and detoxed, or else we will never achieve optimum health.
Okay, well, let me just go back to the facility. Yes, we try to do everything as organic as possible. I mean, we even had to find VOC-free organic epoxy coatings that were FDA approved and had to go through some of the approval processes for the epoxy flooring on the floor. The paint on the walls is organic clay paint. I mean, everything from the ground up at our facility is organic and chemical-free. One thing we didn't show you is the liquid processing room. You're going to see that on the screen right there. That's very high tech, and of course, there's all of the FDA standards in any type of processing room. We have to ensure that those are there, and it's stacks and stacks and stacks of paperwork that we have to fill out to make sure everything is cleaned properly with non-toxic cleaners. You know, most companies, like what you were talking about in China, they use toxic chemical cleaning products. Ours are OMRI listed. Another big factor is what you're going to see is the distillation room. The distillation room, we use triple distilled water. That's a big water distiller right there, and it takes.
Well, again, for radio listeners, basically, you explain that the purpose of the triple distilled water and why you distill it 3 times.
Well, the triple distilled water is an ultra pure energy enhanced water. I mean, the more you distill water, it actually changes its structure at the 3rd, the 6th, and the 9th distillation. So if you look at any of the great chemists from years and years ago, or even the alchemists from the 1600s, they would always ensure using triple distilled water, because even distilled water might have some contaminants, or it might not be as pure as possible. Because
that's right. But I mean, bottom line here, Alex Jones just jumping in because I'm about to come in with a bunch of news in this hour here on this live Friday edition with the great crew, David Knight, and of course, Anthony Gucciardi hosting the show in the first 2 hours with Dr. Group out in Arizona. I'm here in South Texas, truly 21st century radio / TV, that beyond the fact that Group's been so careful to have the purest products, it's also what's even more important, the big issue here is that no one has this type of pure crystal-based iodine that we've been showing people on the nightly news. And this is literally the big conspiracy with the globalists to put everything else in that same area of the periodic table, the fluorines, the bromide, all of it, that blocks the iodine. The government, before it was pure evil, at the top said put iodine in the salt, the public needs it in the 20s, took it out in the 60s. This is the big issue. So that's why we're funding our operation while promoting something that everybody needs. It's a win-win-win, like we fund the operation with high-quality water filtration because it's so important. Dr. Strangelove, you know, the famous movie by Stanley Kubrick, they make jokes about precious bodily fluids, but actually Kubrick was telling people through a joke what was really going on in that film. And I've talked to his family on air, folks, but nobody else has been able to. So that's the bottom line. I just wanted to come on, Dr. Group, and thank you for having us up to your great laboratory. I wanted to thank Rob Dew for the great job he's doing, missing his family, flying out there to cover it. And we're going to have more HD footage on the nightly news showing the amazing crystals, the crystal gas, you name it, that is so amazing. And that's why, Richard, will you hand me my X2? In fact, I forgot to take it today. Why X2 is so incredible and what it's personally done for me and my family. When people do purchase the X2, the Super Male Vitality, the Super Female Vitality, any and all of it, at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, they are funding the very tip of the spear in the InfoWars. So, Dr. Group, thank you so much for your hospitality and thank you for your groundbreaking work. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet. Amazing job. And again, we've got so much to cover today as we start this new hour. So much has already been covered. I've been listening during almost the entire broadcast, all the different angles that have been covered. I want to get into the naked tyranny that we're facing as a civilization and just how obvious it's all getting here in just a moment. But before I do that and go to all the stories that are up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, I wanted to have David Knight and, of course, Anthony Gucciardi put bookends on any other key points that were made in the